Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome everyone to our second webinar in the Accessing Student Talent webinar series. This series is designed for small businesses interested in learning more about working with a college or university student. Our presenters for this webinar are Allison Mitchell, the Experiential Learning Outreach Coordinator, and myself, Aparna Gupta, the Experiential Learning Marketing Assistant at the Greater KW Chamber of Commerce, as well as Wendy Zufeld-Baxter, Associate Director of Cooperative Education at Conestoga College, Lisa Jarvis, Manager of Community and Workplace Partnerships at Wilfrid Laurier University, Jessica Lang, Manager of the EDGE program at the University of Waterloo, and Marian Canning, Regional Manager of Cooperative Education and Career Action at the University of Waterloo. Here are some housekeeping items. All attendees are in listen-only mode. All handouts are available in your control panel. This includes slides from today's webinar, as well as a copy of our one-pager. Please ask questions throughout the webinar in the question box in your control panel. All questions will be answered at the end of the webinar, and all attendees will be sent a recorded copy of the webinar after this event. The agenda for today's webinar is as follows. An introduction and housekeeping. We will review our learning objectives, followed by presentations from Conestoga College, Wilfrid Laurier University, and the University of Waterloo, ending off the webinar with a question and answer session and a conclusion. Please note that there is a feedback survey after the webinar ends, so please fill it out, as we would love to hear what you think of this series so far. Through this webinar, you will learn the following. The experiential learning options available at each post-secondary, the differences between these experiential learning opportunities, and the difference between paid co-op and unpaid experiential learning opportunities. Now over to Allison for a recap on our initiative.
Thanks, Aparna. Welcome everybody for joining us on the webinar today. I'm happy to be sharing the new initiative that the Chamber is piloting. For this project, we are working in partnership with the University of Waterloo, Wilfrid Laurier University, and Conestoga College. The project is being funded by the Government of Ontario's Career Ready Fund. The goal of the Access Student Talent Project is to help small businesses to more easily connect with post-secondary students for co-op and non-co-op experiential learning opportunities. Through this project, we are working with small businesses and our school partners to determine how students can best work with businesses. Here's how the process works from our end. A small business and I will connect to talk about the business's interest in the project, as well as their business needs. During this discussion, we will talk about what the business is looking for in a student. If the business has an idea of the type of work that they would like a student to do, then we will talk about that work, as well as the timing, the duration, and the amount of help that the business thinks that they might need from a student. If a business does not know what type of work to give a student, then we'll talk about projects that have been on the back burner, extra help that a business would need for an upcoming deadline, or general assistance that a business would need in order to achieve their goals. Once I've talked to a business, then I take that information and I speak with the 3 post-secondary schools that we're partnered with about the options that the employer would have to work with students. I'll then summarize those options, which includes the availability of the students and the timing, and I'll share all of that information back with the employer. The employer then decides how they would like to proceed. If they would like to move forward with working with a student, then they let me know which option or options they would like to proceed with, and I will then provide an introduction between the employer and the representative at the school that they will be working directly with. In terms of the types of businesses we're working with on the project, we are working with small businesses that are up to 50 employees. We are not working with tech startups as they are well supported in our local community. We are not working with small businesses that are already engaged with the University of Waterloo, Wilfrid Laurier University, or Conestoga College, or have been engaged with them in the past 2 years. And we are helping both chamber and non-chamber members with this initiative. When I started, I mentioned the term experiential learning, and I wanted to clarify what we mean by that term. You'll also get a better understanding of what experiential learning is from our presenters. According to the Ministry of Training, Colleges and Universities, experiential learning supports students in getting hands-on learning that helps them transition to employment. Experiential learning is an educational activity that is facilitated and supported through a college or a university. Students participate in workplaces or simulated workplaces where they're exposed to authentic demands and expectations. Students apply and expand on program knowledge and skills that they are developing in their studies. And the goal is to improve employability and interpersonal skills, which will then support the students' transition to the workforce.
All right. Thank you, Allison. Now we will turn it over to Wendy from Conestoga College.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. As mentioned, I'm the Associate Director for Cooperative Education, but I'm representing work integrated learning and experiential learning at the college. If we could turn to the next slide, just entertain you for a bit while I'm chatting. I'm going to walk you through sort of some of our offerings, but I'd really like to start out with helping you better understand Conestoga College. We find there's lots of assumptions about the college, or if you went to the college many years ago, there's been some drastic changes with the college over the years. So I thought I'd start with a bit of a framework so you understand Conestoga College. So next slide. So I wanted you to know that Conestoga College is actually the region's only provider of polytechnic education, which is a blend of technical knowledge as well as theoretical knowledge and practice in the workforce. We offer degrees as well as postgraduate certificates. That's for individuals that have already graduated with a degree or a diploma. And then we have advanced diplomas, which are 3 years, diplomas, which are 2 years, and of course the trades. We have close to 15 degree programs. An interesting statistic, local talent. So if you're looking for local talent, 65% of the Conestoga graduates remain in the area. And actually more than 50% of the region's population have participated in some sort of Conestoga College training and education. We have over 200 career-focused programs, and when you get the presentation, there's a hyperlink there that you can see all the different programs. But I don't want you to get overwhelmed, and I'll talk to you later about the supports that we have in place to help you decide which programs are a good fit for your business needs. We also have fairly robust industry and business leader input into our curriculum. Every program must have a program advisory committee, which invites industry leaders to come in and provide guidance and advice on the curriculum. And so that's the way that we can pivot quickly and stay on top of what the industry is using. So using in terms of software or best practices or any of the changes or trends in the industry. So that's something that we certainly would encourage you to get involved in if you're at all interested. We're one of Ontario's only college-based accredited engineering degrees, and our employer satisfaction rating is consistently over 90%. So just a few statistics for you. Next. Nope. We have over 13,000 students. We have a number of apprenticeship seats. We also have a pretty healthy part-time enrollment. We now have, just passing our 50th anniversary, we have over 124,000 alumni. We already spoke to the number of individuals that have some personal relationship with the college, and 87% of our graduates are actually employed within 6 months of graduation. Another thing that some individuals aren't aware of, we actually have campuses and training centers in Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, Stratford, Cambridge, Brantford, and Ingersoll. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen on University Avenue the big build in Waterloo, and of course we've got the Doon campus in Kitchener. Next slide. This slide is just to help you put experiential learning and work integrated learning into context. Basically, the distinction between work integrated learning and experiential learning is really that third-party involvement. So work integrated learning has a third-party involvement, which is where you come in, basically employers. A co-op is a form of work integrated learning, but it is distinctive in that it is full-time paid employment for 4, 8, 12, 16 months, depending on the program. Next slide. So let's talk about why. What are the benefits? What's in it for you for co-op? First off, there's an Ontario Cooperative Education Tax Credit, so you can recoup up to $3,000 for each co-op student that you take on. It's also a cost-effective way to bring in some extra employees when it's peak time or when you've got some shortages in staff due to vacation and what have you. It's always nice to bring in sort of some bright, motivated, fresh talent. Of course, they're all digital natives, so that's always refreshing. Also, we've got an increasing number of international students, so even providing more diversity within your workforce is another benefit of co-op. It allows you to explore new employment positions. So some of you may thought, gee, maybe I'll experiment with a new business developer or you name it, and but you're not sure whether you want to make that commitment for a full-time role, whether that will actually fit. So you can actually use a co-op student to pilot some of your new expansion plans in terms of staffing. Of course, it's a way to attract talent, and it's also a way to build your brand on campus. Students start to talk about employers, and they talk about the culture at the company, and they brag about where they're working, and it does get a bit contagious, so it's a way to build brand on campus. More and more I find it's a way for you to evaluate candidates before you hire them. We all know that fit's crucial, and so it's nice that you can sort of bring them on board and test them out before you actually hire them through co-op. And it will save you time and money in terms of should you hire them on full-time in the future. They've already had their orientation, they've already been trained when you hire them as grads. Next slide. As far as benefits of other forms of work integrated learning, excluding co-op, you're basically helping a student meet their program requirements so that they can actually turn around and then contribute to society. You're helping create interest in your industry. Students often don't know what they don't know, so it's nice to give them different exposure. You're assessing students for possible future employment. You actually, with work integrated learning, because they're unpaid, you can actually demonstrate your social responsibility or your civic responsibility by taking on students. And students will make beneficial contributions in your workforce as well. So, although they may not be paid, they'll still be productive and helpful, especially if they take on new perspectives. And there's no requirement to pay a student. Of course, the exception would be co-op. So how do you hire? So it's pretty simple. You've got to determine which academic programs are of interest to you. And again, staff will help you with that. There's quite a few programs and they've got names that you might not see the obvious fit. So we have staff in place to support you with that. Then you develop the job posting. you post the job. What's unique at Conestoga College is you can post a job anytime. We have continuous posting. So at any time you want to post a job, you can feel free to post for co-op students. And we also, then basically you select and interview the applicants, and there'll be significant help with that as well. So as I mentioned, Co-op staff is there to support you. We've got employer relations staff who actually work with employers to support students when they prepare themselves for their work term. We have 9 co-op advisors, and they work one-on-one with students to get them ready before you see them. Cover letter, resumes, interviews, things like that, so that they showcase their skills for you, make your job easier to select them. And we have 10 employer-focused co-op staff in business, culinary, hospitality, engineering and IT, health and life sciences, community services, and then media and design. So co-op staff is staff to support you. Basically, we have continuous, flexible job postings. Our staff will actually help you post, although it's quite simple. We will share sample job postings to give you some idea. We'll help you target different programs. We'll help you navigate and match the skill requirements to the student's availability. We also make recommendations around wage ranges, so what's historically been paid. We promote the positions, and sometimes we actually do targeted resume referrals. So we'll pull a bunch of students and fire you off some resumes of students that we know are doing a great job. We also assist with interview scheduling and hosting. You can actually interview on campus if you like, as well as coordination. So we make it as easy as possible for you. So WIL, again, excluding co-op. Some other employer considerations, you will need to sign an affiliation agreement that outlines kind of the college's responsibilities as well as yours. You just have to confirm workplace insurance, whether you have WSIB or other, but no need to worry, regardless of what insurance you have in place, students are going to be covered by the ministry. We just need to know which one, because which insurance would apply in case there is an injury. You need to have current liability insurance, and of course provide a safe work environment for the student, and provide productive work term that helps the student meet their learning outcomes. Similarly with co-op, WIL has support services also staffed to help you. They have a number of placement officers that work with the employers and faculty to support the students get ready. And then the placement officers are in our various schools as well, and they go out and meet with you and chat with you and develop jobs or develop work integrated learning opportunities and support you through that process too. So WIL support services will sort of monitor and mitigate risk in WIL activities. So they help you with that. I know sometimes bringing a student on board can be a bit scary. They also maintain an agency employer database, and they'll do all they'll process all the documentation required for WIL experiences, and they confirm the agency and community partners and any student requirement, like that all requirements are met before the student actually goes out on the WIL opportunity. So, excuse me, I'm just going to take a drink of water here. So we make sure that the student's ready to get out there, and we make sure you're ready to take on a student. Next slide.
All right, thank you, Wendy. We will now turn it over to Lisa from Wilfrid Laurier.
Thank you. Great, thank you. I'll wait just till the slides are up here. So I work in under the bigger umbrella of cooperative education and workplace partnerships. And if you go to the next slide, with an increased push from the government to offer more experiential and work integrated learning opportunities to post-secondary students, Laurie created our unit, Community Workplace Partnerships is what it's called. But again, it's part of a larger co-op career and experiential learning center. In terms of experiential learning models that we support, up at the top there on the left, Co-op is the largest work integrated learning model or program, and one that you may be most familiar with. But also I will speak to some other things that we do within workplace partnerships that could be attractive to small and medium businesses as well, and that's internships and in-course or in-program experiential learning projects. And then on the right-hand side is some co-curricular things that we also define as experiential learning here at Laurier. And if we can go to the next slide. Before I get into the different models of experiential learning, I just wanted to show you this competency framework. When we reorganized to expand work integrated learning and experiential learning at Laurier, we also launched a new Laurier Experience Record, formerly a co-curricular record here for our students. And this will house all of a student's experiential learning activities and act as an e-portfolio for them upon graduation. And so students are reflecting on and linking their experiential and work integrated learning activities to 3 of these core competencies. And so we're addressing not a skills gap, but an articulation gap. And the hope is that students recognize and then articulate what they've gained from their academic endeavors and their experiential and work integrated learning activities during their time here at Laurier. We understand these competencies here to be competencies and skills that employers are looking for, and we see more and more a trend towards hiring for skill set and not credentials. So we want students to start thinking right from first year about all the ways that they're gaining these skills and competencies, whether it's in their residence, with extracurricular activities, with part-time work on campus, co-op, and other experiential learning, etc. So I'll first speak to co-op at Laurier. Next slide. So Wendy gave a good kind of overview of what co-op is in Canada already in terms of some of the requirements. And so you know that co-op involves this employer-employee relationship, and students are working full-time for 4 months, in some cases 8, 12, 16 months. And our students alternate between these work terms with you, the employer, and then their study terms here back at university. Students create learning objectives with their supervisor in the workplace. They review those mid-term during a site visit, and then they reflect on them at the end of the term. Students receive a performance evaluation, so they get feedback directly from their employer, which is very valuable, of course, for students to hear, you know, what are their gifts and skills and what are the development areas they should focus on. And finding those mentors and teachers within the workplace is so important to our students. And Laurier monitors the placement and offers support as needed throughout. So more specifically to Laurier, on the next slide, you'll see Laurier has the largest business degree co-op program in Canada, with 2,500 students enrolled in our business programs. And that includes our double degree programs where students are earning a math, financial math, or computing degree alongside their BBA. We also have co-op students in economics, in arts and science, and graduate level programs in business, communications, computer science, and economics. We do not admit, in most cases, we do not admit students to co-op from high school, but rather through a rigorous admissions process when they apply after first year. And that involves us screening for GPA, work experience, extracurricular activities, and volunteer experience, and their performance in an interview. Many of the same things that you as the employer are looking for. And this process creates a very high caliber pool of students to offer to our employers. And then students go through an intensive co-op fundamentals course, much like Wendy mentioned for the Conestoga students, where they're learning resume writing and interview skills, and also topics like professionalism, personal brand, etc. And our business students are available all year round with a number of different sequences, but mostly 4 or 8 months. And if you go to the next slide, I'll show you a few sample sequences. So in arts and science, you can access students available for summer terms only. That's unique to arts and science, that they're only available in the summer. And here in arts and science, you're accessing, you know, almost 9,000 students in our faculties of arts and science, and you know, in communication studies, English, psychology, global studies, financial math, kinesiology, etc. So there's very interdisciplinary, and those students again go out only in the summer. And the next slide is just a sample BBA co-op sequence. And in your handout, you can probably see it better in terms of the print, but wanted to show you some of the coursework that students are doing even before they go out on co-op. And so Laurie's business program gives students a very solid foundation in all functional areas, not just turning out accountants and marketing professionals, but our grads have very strong business acumen and knowledge of many areas of business in addition to the specialization or designation they choose. So students don't go out on their first co-op term until after second year, you can see that. And so they've got those solid 2 years behind them before you even recruit them. And this is just one sample sequence. We also have business students and business technology management students and some of our grad students available for 8-month terms. And then upcoming in our UX design program, they will go for a 12 or 16-month term. So we're trying to offer more and more flexibility and a diverse pool of students in terms of what year they're in, more junior students, more senior students, depending on the term that you recruit in. And the next slide. So although we're the largest business degree program in co-op or in the country, we very relatively small in comparison to some others, and so we offer personalized service. And posting a job is easy, just as Wendy said too. It's we walk you through every step of the way, from posting and developing a posting or a job description in collaboration with you, to using our technology and our platform, to scheduling interviews and then hiring, making offers, etc. So now I'd like to speak to work integrated learning opportunities other than co-op at Laurier, and that falls under the Workplace Partnerships Office. And the models of engagement that we're working with are here on the slide. And I want to start with in-course projects, as it may be potentially of most interest to you. You can engage with students in a course who will carry out a project for you. We work alongside the employer and the course instructor to define the scope of the project, what the deliverables may be at the end. For example, we have an Intro to Sustainability course where students form small consulting teams to develop and pitch project ideas related to sustainability to the CAO of Ayr and North Dumfries. Similar, we support students in capstone courses where they might be working on the project over the course of 2 terms, their final year. And their research or project is created for or on behalf of an employer partner. And much like Wendy went through at Conestoga, all of the health and safety risk management types of things, again, going through the scope of the project, our staff will work closely with you on all of that. If you have a project or a case that you want students to work on over the course of a term, we'll find that right course for you and the instructor and match you with them. And coming soon, we will have a project portal on our Navigator platform where you can post your projects and have them readily available for faculty to go on and view and then contact you directly. And just using our technology, our platform to make those connections for you. So students in our business school, entrepreneurship, digital media and journalism, global studies, business technology management, any of our programs really that would be a fit for the type of project you have may be of interest to you, and we're happy to explore that with you. We also have students in practicum placements that are required for their discipline, and some programs also have an internship option where students are most often doing paid work that's related to their area of studies and also receiving credit for it. These courses are an alternative to co-op in that they may not have the same strict guidelines around the duration of the term, for example, or that it's full-time. But again, in most cases, when we're looking at internship model, especially in the private sector, we are talking about paid work. Design jams and hackathons, as well as job shadows or professional inquiry, offer employers the opportunity to connect with our students in a more briefly, in a sort of shorter term way. And we see that these models can lead to longer term connections between the employer and the institution, or the employer and a particular student. So again, Workplace Partnerships was really created to offer a broader menu of options to our employers, to our students, to our faculty members who are interested in engaging with each other. Workplace Partnerships is relatively new, but we're growing. And so you see we had just 300 students last year in our first year, but with 17 courses in development for this next academic year, we will certainly double that for sure at this point is what we're targeting. And it's often when employers like yourselves come forward with a project idea or an internship opportunity that we create a new WIL course, and that's how we're growing, is by talking with you and seeing what your ideas and what your needs are. So employers can engage with students and still get a lot out of these types of work integrated learning activities, even though it's not a full-time student in their workplace for 4 months. Again, you have access to the skills and knowledge of our students, bring fresh perspectives and ideas. Perhaps you can offer something new or be more flexible in your service with the WIL models that we're offering. And like Wendy said, it's a chance for you to boost your profile on campus. Students talk, right? And so if they've had a great experience with your organization, that will certainly help. And you also are connecting with faculty through work integrated learning opportunities in most cases where they're mentoring the students, and that faculty connection or that institutional connection with your organization might also be a benefit to you. And ultimately, you're contributing to the personal growth and professional development of our students and the future leaders in your industry. And you're never restricted to just one model, right? We have employers that are hiring co-op students in the summertime, perhaps, and then they offer a project for a course. They're open to having students shadow them and be a site for a job shadow course. So we're finding with this expanded work integrated learning workplace partnerships unit, we're able to serve our employers, some of our existing employers, in new ways, which is great.
Thanks, Lisa. Now over to Marion from the University of Waterloo to discuss co-op, followed by Jessica to discuss Waterloo's EDGE program.
Thanks to everyone else and members for coming. Let's get our slides up here. We can just move right to slide 2. So you've already heard this in this component of it before, but what is co-op? So co-op's an educational cycle. It's classroom learning and workplace learning, and typically that alters from one term to the next. What we find is that we typically have 4 months of school and then 4 months of workplace. In some of our courses, there are also an 8-month work term that employers can take advantage of. And as the other two individuals, Lisa and Wendy, have already indicated, what this does for a co-op opportunity for a student, it helps them take the classroom learning, contribute that into the workplace, and then bring the workplace learning and enhance their classroom experience. Next slide, please. So co-op at Waterloo, we have more than 120 academic accredited programs. The courses are offered all year round. Very large department that supports students and employers in recruitment and work term success. There's a Waterloo professional development program that the students are engaged in all the way through their programs. We have job performance evaluation that becomes of application packages and for subsequent work terms. Next slide. So you can just see from this, just sort of wanted to be able to do is kind of demonstrate the scope of the co-op program at the University of Waterloo. So really you can see from this that we schedule more work terms in a single term than the next 2 largest co-op programs do in a single year combined. Next slide, please. So again, just a little bit more data on the broader overview. So I indicated we have 21,000 plus students enrolled in 120 co-op programs. That's more than twice as many of any of the largest Canadian university co-op programs combined. We've been indicated as the #1 through the QS rankings for employer relationships and partnerships in Canada. And we are regionally based, which means that we have staff in our regions who meet on site with students and employers all across North America. Next slide. So a little bit more, this is what happens for us. So, in any given work term, we'll have over 1,000 applications that the students submit. There's 60,500 plus interviews, as many as 1,425 in a single day that we can accommodate. Our employment rate is at 97.7%, and at Currently, we have more than 6,900 active employers involved in our co-op program. Having said that, why do we need you? Well, the benefits of co-op to the employers is that for you, it will build a talent pipeline. And right now, what we've got is an anticipation of the gap left by the baby boomer retirement rate. So by doing this, you can start to build your pipeline to replace your individuals that are going to retire, and they're in that range between now and 2025. The flexibility co-op students bring, and Wendy and Lisa both indicated this in their presentations. For us, they're available all year round, and they're to fill your immediate needs. The co-op model is short-term commitment, less resource-intensive way of meeting your company's needs. Next slide. Co-op students bring energy and new ideas to the workplace. It's also a low-cost, low-risk way to recruit potential employers. With that low-cost, Wendy also mentioned the tax credit. Any employer hiring a co-op student full-time for 4 months would receive a tax credit through you as well. Supervisors do evaluate job performance in detail. This creates high incentive for students to perform. And we've got 93% of employers are rating the co-op students they hire as very good to outstanding. And both Lisa and Wendy also indicated that having students in your organization increases your brand awareness. And both of them, same scenario. The students like to chat, and they're tied deeply to social networks and to media. And one of the things that they'll do, as Lisa and Wendy had said, if they're having a great experience at your organization, they're going to spread the word, and more people are going to be excited to work for you. Next slide. So for us, co-op is not a placement. It's a competitive employment process. Jobs are not guaranteed, and that means that our students compete for employment and employers compete for talent. Our employers post jobs on Waterloo Works. That's our internal employer administration system. Students apply to postings that they're interested in. Employers select candidates to interview, and they can interview in person, by phone, or by web or Skype. So compared to this, there are other schools that do have a placement system, but co-op for us is not a placement system. Next slide. So how do you recruit from the University of Waterloo? It really is easy to hire talent. As you can see from the slide, you can literally do it in 3 easy steps. So the first one is register and post. And again, it's an affordable way to fill your talent needs. Interview and hire talent from 120 plus accredited programs. And repeat that over and over again. The students are available all year round. So behind the scenes, there are a lot of people that helps to make this happen. So just a little overview on the process for you. About 4 months before the students actually start their work term, they're given access to our employment administration system, where the thousands of jobs are posted. It's a private system, it's not open to the public, and it's with employers that are posting jobs specifically for the University of Waterloo students. All of the jobs are vetted to ensure that they meet co-op requirements. Students apply to the jobs they're interested in, you review the applications online, and interview the candidates. Interviews can be done in person, by phone, webcam, or Skype. After interviewing, you select the students you would like to hire in the order of priority you've placed them. The students rank their experience with you as well. They'll do it in order of rank with the interviews that they've had. And then our system goes through this amazing algorithm, and that matches the student to a job. So we have many cycles for recruitment, hiring over a 3-month period immediately before the co-op work term is scheduled to start. We have a dedicated service team that's there to assist with all your hiring process and needs. So they can help you write that perfect job description. They can assist with setting up the interviews. They can help you answer questions around interview questions specifically, or questions around the average wage, those types of things. For employer resources, we have designated staff that are available to support the students and supervisors during the work term, provide suggestions for managing a successful work term with the students. And then again, the Hire Waterloo website, that's where you can go to click in and use it for all your hiring needs. Next step, or next slide, please. So just a little bit about where the students actually work. So For the Waterloo region, we have approximately 25% of our co-op students work directly in the Waterloo region. And then the rest of Ontario is another 15%. And when we talk about the GTA, there's 44% there. Oftentimes there's a thought process that many of the University of Waterloo students go to the States to work, either for their co-op or after graduation. If you can see by this chart, of all the students that we have, only 9% of those students actually go to the States. That's leaving a large percent of the students to work right here in Ontario and Canada. Next slide. So both students and employers can use co-op as a catalyst for entrepreneurship. Experience on co-op work terms can lead to big ideas. Startups hire co-op students to help bring products to market, and in turn students start working in startups, or they'll start their own startups because they discover what entrepreneurship is really like and they enjoy that. So what's our future at the University of Waterloo? You can see that there's a few things on here we're looking at in order to continue to evolve, to support and reflect the changing needs of the industry and the students. We'll also lever our expertise to work in work integrated learning to support the EDGE program for students in non-co-op. And after that, I will turn this over to Jessica, who's next, who'll speak about the EDGE program.
Okay, hi everybody. Thanks so much for advancing the slide. And thanks to Marion for that wonderful segue into the EDGE program. So my name is Jessica Lang, and I am the manager of the EDGE program, which is the University of Waterloo's Experiential Education Certificate program for students who are not on our cooperative track. As the university looked to expand its offerings and increase flexibility for our students, our non-co-op population, which is approximately 30% of our student body, was a key target for us, and EDGE is helping to support these students. So EDGE is an academic, we can go back actually to the last slide. So EDGE is an academic certificate program, and what that means is that the certificate is granted by the institution. Students that complete the program receive a certificate at convocation in addition to their degree. The program is also noted on a student's transcript after they graduate. Students that complete EDGE will develop their professional skills, explore their career options, and learn how to market themselves to employers. EDGE is opt-in for our students, meaning that our regular population, what we would call our non-co-op students at Waterloo, they do need to enroll in the program. And it's open to any undergraduate student that is, of course, not in one of our cooperative programs. And students can start EDGE at any time during their degree studies. Next slide. There are 6 main milestones that students need to complete in order to obtain the certificate. I like to say that EDGE is a hybrid experiential learning and career development theory program. We try to take the experiences that we know our students are already engaged in and really add that layer of professional development content to those experiences in order to maximize what they gain through those opportunities. So students complete a skill identification and articulation workshop, which is led by one of our fantastic career advisors. They complete a career fundamentals course. They engage in 3 experiential learning opportunities and complete 1 capstone experience right at the end, which is an intensive 2-day event where they create a career action plan for themselves in consultation with one of our career advisors to help support them as they transition off campus and into their future endeavors. So for the sake of time today, I'm going to focus in on the experiential learning components of our certificate program, and this I think will be of most relevance to our employers in KW. Next slide, please. So there are 2 main ways that students can complete experiences for the program. The first is via what I like to call our academic track. Through the academic track, students use existing experiential learning courses as part of their degree program to count towards their EDGE certificate. These courses range across our faculties and academic programs. They could can you go back, please? They could include something like an internship or practicum experience where students leave the classroom and are situated within a workplace, or this could include industry projects where an organization is working with an instructor in a related discipline to solve a complex problem that they might be faced with. It could also include service learning opportunities in our community or perhaps fieldwork. So when a student utilizes an experiential learning course for EDGE, they must pass the class, of course, engage with the external organization for a certain number of hours, submit a reflection assignment to my team for grading, and we'll reach out to their supervisor in that experience and ask them to complete an evaluation of the student's workplace skills, akin to our co-op program. Okay, next slide. So the other way that, next slide please. The other way that students can complete experiences for EDGE is via what I like to call the co-curricular track. So in this scenario, students pair a work or a volunteer experience, which could occur either on or off campus, but certainly outside of the classroom, with one of our professional development courses. As an example, I've illustrated at the bottom of this slide, a student could obtain, for example, a position as a camp counselor. And while engaged in that work experience, they are simultaneously completing an online course, one of our professional development electives. So in this scenario, a student chose to take the teamwork course, as it of course nicely relates to their experience as a camp counselor since they're working in a team environment. And at the end of the experience, we'll ask the student's direct supervisor to complete an evaluation of their workplace performance, and the student submits a reflection assignment to our office for grading. So these co-curricular experiences can be paid or unpaid. They need to be a minimum of 36 hours over a 4-month period, so what we would call either fall term, winter term, or spring term. They can occur during a student's academic studies or during an off term or a summer term. They do need to be authentic experiences in the sense that students need to be actively contributing to the organization in some manner, so they can't be a passive participant or just job shadowing or something of that nature. Students can use this or use the same experience or go back to the same organization for multiple credits. So for example, a student could go back to the camp counselor role on multiple occasions and pair that experience with a different professional development course each summer to gain credits for EDGE. Students can actually mix and match between our academic track offerings and our co-curricular opportunities. They don't need to just take one or just take the other. Students need to go out and find these opportunities, though, of their own volition, of their own accord. Similar to what Marion was saying before, we're not a placement service. Students can advertise, employers can advertise specific positions or opportunities to our students, and we do have a mechanism for sharing that information with them. Next slide, please. One thing I did want to highlight is that EDGE is relatively new to the University of Waterloo. It launched in September 2017. So just in a couple of days, we're going to be celebrating our first anniversary or our first birthday, depending on who you ask. We have 400 students enrolled in the program at this time, which was actually our enrollment goal for the first year. And we will continue to enroll students moving forward, and we're excited to see what is yet to come. So moving into our second year of operation, we're starting to explore how we can provide centralized supports to our faculty partners to help them scale up their 4-credit experiential learning opportunities. So a key partnership that I wanted to highlight today was that we've entered into a partnership with our Faculty of Arts here on campus, and we'll be actually helping them run their apprenticeship opportunities in winter 2019 in 2 specific disciplines, helping our senior psychology students and our senior human resource management students. So these apprenticeships would be a minimum of 60 hours and would be unpaid, as an example, and we're looking to do more of that in the future. Next slide. So thinking about the future, I think our takeaway from the University of Waterloo is that it's absolutely an incredibly exciting time on our campus as we look to be supporting our students across a wide variety of experiential learning opportunities and in different flexible models. So whatever your business needs might be, I think I'm quite confident that we have a fit for you across co-op, inside of our classrooms, and perhaps through our new EDGE framework. So I hope that you have a fairly good understanding of EDGE at this time, and as you may perhaps find yourself hosting a Waterloo student in your organization, and they might be asking you to help them with this thing called EDGE. So if they do come to you and ask for an evaluation, know that through your support and mentorship, our students are learning about how to apply what they're learning in the classroom to the real world, and I think that that's really special. So thanks for your time, and I'll pass it back to Allison and Aparna.
Thank you, Thank you, Marian and Jessica. If you haven't already, please take a few seconds to leave your questions in the question box, and we will be answering them shortly. All right, let's take a look at the questions that we have. So we've got a couple questions. The first question is a part-time job that is in the field of study for a student considered to be experiential learning? Wendy, would you like to answer that first?
Oh, that's I certainly wouldn't be eligible for co-op. Co-op must be full-time. I would defer to the others with regards to experiential learning. I mean, I think it certainly is valuable experience, but I'm not sure if it would count under our framework.
I think here at Laurier it is noted in our typology, but the key piece for experiential learning, of course, is that the students have reflected on the learning as well. So a student in our with our Laurier experience record can apply to have that part-time work, I think, put on their experience record. But in order to do that, they have to go through a reflection assignment. But I'd have to confirm with our Career Center if that's only for work on campus and not off campus. However, with our new as well Explore program, which has only been piloted at this point on our Brantford campus, students part-time work off campus, it can be given credit as part of the Explore program, which I didn't get into because, as I say, it's just in the pilot stage at this point.
It's Marian from the University of Waterloo. From our perspective, as you said, one of the things that we're doing to move to the future is incorporating some what we're calling flex work terms. And those flex work terms really are student driven. So if a student comes to us and says, I have this great part-time job that really fits with my program of study and I'd like to be able to use that as co-op for the next 4 months, we would look at that along with encouraging or asking the student to find another experience that would augment that in order to make up a full-time opportunity, co-op opportunity. So it may be something that could be counted as a co-op for credit at the University of Waterloo.
Hi all, it's Jessica from Waterloo speaking now. So I think the original question was, is a part-time job considered experiential? And I think Lisa was really getting at the heart of it. So a part-time job on its own, if we have students working in the community and it's not linked back to the institution in some way and they're not reflecting on that experience in an intentional manner, then it wouldn't be existing sort of under the experiential learning umbrella. Is it an experience for them? Absolutely, but the learning component, the learning mechanism to all of this is when within work integrated learning, we're integrating their classroom studies with experience out in the field. So a part-time role may not necessarily be eligible for every program or every framework, but in the cases where it does, i.e. in EDGE, as an example here at Waterloo, we would consider that an eligible experience or opportunity. Then the programmatic framework that we have supporting the student in that experience would make it a qualified experiential learning opportunity. I hope that makes sense.
And if you look at the slide that showed sort of the larger circle with the two smaller circles, the the key caveat with regards to experiential learning is that it's curricular based, and so the actual experiential learning experience is embedded in the program or the course design. So it's actually part of the curriculum, and that way we build in the reflection and make sure it ties to learning outcomes and deliverables and that. Then you've got sort of in the smaller circle is the co-curricular, which starts to look at extracurricular activities and that, but part-time work doesn't fall within our framework.
All right. We have another question.
If I can just add one more thing, that, and I don't know if this is the case at the other schools, that employers can post off-campus part-time opportunities with our Career Center at any time, but it's outside of maybe what we're talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. Free to post part-time or seasonal work anytime on our job board.
All right. On to the next question. So can a student work from a home-based business in a co-op or non-co-op opportunity? For a home, Wendy, would you like to answer that first?
Yeah, there are. I'm just wanting to pull up. We have criteria. There's actually job posting criteria. I can actually provide that to you to circulate it to the participants. So that would be our posting guidelines. And that will outline some of the sort of different types of work arrangements. We're typically, I guess the answer is it depends, but we're not very much in favor of that kind of work environment. And so perhaps I think if you saw all the posting requirements, that might help. I will send it through to Allison and team, and they can get that out.
Thanks, Wendy.
Again, here at Laurier, it's Lisa speaking for Laurier Co-op. We certainly have had students work out of their own home offices or an employer's home office. It happens, much like Wendy said, more on a case-by-case basis. We would usually not approve that for a first work term student, but more of a senior student is one consideration we might look at. And the other would just be to look at the space and make sure the student would have everything they needed. And we certainly wouldn't, we would want students to, if they had that one experience, they've also had a more traditional experience within the number of terms that they're doing. But it's always a case by case, I would say, for something like a home office.
Right.
Yeah, Marion here at the University of Waterloo. That's pretty much for us as well, is that we would review what the job is, what type of level of support there would be in mentoring with for that particular student. Just review that on a case-by-case basis and provide an answer to the student and to the employer.
I certainly echo. This is Jessica speaking from Waterloo. Certainly echo what Marion just shared. I think for us, we'd want to assess the level of supervision and the level of support available to a student. I think we are always trying to support our students in recognizing what the modern workplace is, and there are a lot of untraditional working environments, and they continue to be popping up. So we want to make space for that, but ensure that our students can be successful in these experiences as well.
Great. So we will wrap up our questions at this point in the interest of time. I wanted to thank all of our presenters for sharing information on the various ways that businesses can work with post-secondary students. We've heard that engaging with students is a benefit to both the business and the students, and I hope that employers will consider working with a student in your business. In fact, Aparna, who is co-hosting the webinar with me, is a co-op student. She's been working with me all summer on this project, and she's had a really positive impact on the project, and I'm looking forward to working with a few co-op students this coming fall semester. So in today's webinar, we heard a lot of really great information from our school partners. If you are interested in talking with me about engaging with students, please feel free to contact me, Allison Mitchell at the Chamber. My contact information is on the screen now. And thanks again for attending.
All right. To learn more, please visit our webpage and follow us on social media, which is listed on the screen to stay up to date with what is happening at the Chamber, and use the hashtag #AccessStudentTalent when posting about the initiative. This is just a reminder that there is a feedback survey launching after this webinar, and we would love to hear from you. So please do fill it out and let us know how you like this series so far. We just want to thank you once again for attending this webinar. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or are interested in getting involved in the project, please feel free to contact us at our emails. Thank you so much.